Good evening, friends. I hope you can hear me.
Good evening.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think now we have 29 participants.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening. How many are there? Now 30 are there. So we can start. You see? Unfortunately, we can't see each other, but anyway, hope you can hear me well. Shall we start then?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay, let's start then.
Okay, thank you. Now today's, I hope you followed the Friday's lecture. Oh, almost all of them are here. So today my topic is global environmental issues, which is actually part of the global international affairs. So our slogan is our planet, our health. Now we have the human Anthropocene activities have deteriorated the health of the planet. That is an issue that we have to address. So what are the global issues currently affecting the planet? Health of the planet is the term that we use to entice people to engage in protecting the environment and control pollution. So, sorry, one of the key issues affecting the health of the planet is depletion of the ozone layer. Hello, yes?
Yeah, there's global warming, contributing to global warming.
Yeah. How many of you have followed climate change in the final sorry, final year lectures? Is it a subject in the university now? Climate change is taught in the university. Any response?
At our time, it was not. I think now it is there.
Oh, I see. So we need to be up to date in our learning. Then greenhouse gas emission include actually CO2 is also a greenhouse gas. Then deforestation, depletion of resources, water and air pollution, exploitation. Exploitation is the key to all these issues, I think. Then desertification, food waste, acid rain, biodiversity, loss of ozone layer. Yeah, I have mentioned it. The challenge is global temperature increased about 1.8 Fahrenheit, 1 centigrade from 1900 to 2020. Sorry. Mainly due to the industrial revolution in the past 200 years. The sea level rise has accelerated from 1.7 millimeter per year throughout the most of the 20th century to 3.3 millimeter per year since 1993. Now, we all know that glaciers are melting. Ice, the Antarctica and the North ice cap depth is reducing and water is released to the ocean. Sea glaciers are shrinking. The average thickness of now 30 well-studied glaciers has decreased from more than 60 feet since 1980. Just imagine. The area covered by the sea ice in the Arctic at the end of summer has shrunk by about 40% since 1979. That means during summer the shrinkage is higher than before 1979. The amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere has risen by 25% since 1958 and about 40% since Industrial Revolution. Altogether, it has gone up by current concentration is 425 ppm. And it was 350 in 1960. So when it goes up above 450, people like us will be having problem in breathing. No. Even now I have problems in breathing. Snow is melting compared to long-term average. Then extinction of species calculated of 40,000. Yeah, critical environmental issues affecting the planet. I think that I have discussed almost everything, but we all know that water is the first casualty of climate change. Now, expansion of built environment is one of the critical aspect of climate change. Then plastic pollution. Now, current production of global plastic is 400 million tons. Out of this, about 80 million go to the sea. Then there is a term called hydrometeorological disasters, that is aggravated by climate global warming. Hydrometeorological disasters include floods, storms, droughts, landslide caused by displacement caused by landslide, property damage, poverty, loss of livelihood, destruction, and loss of lives. As atmospheric now we can experience. Now we are even August, September. Now we are in September. August is a dry month in Colombo. We never experienced such. This whole throughout August it rained. It is very unusual. I have never experienced. Now, how many of you just monitor weather by heart throughout the years? I have been just monitoring weather since early 70s. Climate and weather. I just want to ask you a question because now we need to have an interactive session. How many of you know what is climate and what is weather? If somebody asks, what is climate? What is the difference between climate and weather?
Climate is a long-term behavior of that weather. Weather is a short-term behavior of. I think.
Yeah, if a layman asks, actually, climate is what you expect. Weather is what you get. Climate is what you expect, weather is what you get. Now, in August, we expected sunny and hot month. But we got rainy weather. Weather is short-term change in the atmospheric conditions. Climate is what is expected from a particular place we visit. In fact, climate change is measured, monitored using weather data. Climate is the change in the weather pattern over a period in a specific area. While climate varies with latitude and longitude, it also varies with elevation. At higher elevation, temperature are cooler and precipitation is usually greater. Now, what is the measure of temperature when you climb a mountain? Say when you go to Norelia, how do you what is the rule that measure the temperature difference? Do you know that? Hello? Any response from participants? Have you come across that? The rule is that every 100-meter increase in elevation, a 1 degree temperature drop occurs. How many of you have come across that measurement?
That's 1 degree Celsius, is it?
Yeah. When you go up 100 meters, you can expect 1 degree drop in temperature. Now,
Yeah.
in Colombo, when the temperature is 30, we go to Norelia, that is 1860 meters elevation. So 18 degree temperature drop. That is, during daytime, Norelia temperature will be 18. Sorry, 12. Well, 18 degrees, we have to deduct from 30. Now, say, as I mentioned, climate research is done using weather data. Global climate. Now, one example is that if you want to check how the weather has changed over the years, you have to take about 50 years and see 50. You have to take 50 readings of now every August each year. What is the weather? You have to check. What is the rainfall, temperature, humidity, all those parameters to do simple climate research. Then global climate is a description of the climate of a planet as a whole, with all regional differences averaged. As I know, temperature differences can vary, but average temperature rise is measured for climate change. Climate change encompasses global warming, but refers to the broader range of changes that are happening to our planet, including rise in sea level, shrinking mountain glaciers, accelerating ice melt, ice melt in Greenland, Antarctica, and Arctic, and shift in flower plant blooming times, crop patterns. Those are also we have experience now. We have to, I mean, that's a very challenging thing for the agriculture sector. International initiatives to combat climate change. Sorry, there's a interchange. One of the key convention established by UN is United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC. UNFCCC background and timeline of significant events is actually conducted in annual countries of partners, COP. Then there is an International Carbon Action Partnership. That is carbon trading. But I don't believe in this carbon trading. But have you heard of the term carbon trading?
Yes.
Yeah. That is actually a difficult thing to monitor, but it is over when you take overall the impact, it will be, there is no advantage because if we expand our forest, we get a carbon credit. But on other, say, USA can pollute, we can absorb. That is how they go. The Paris Agreement, Accord de Paris in 2015, the biggest commitment from all countries to reduce their emissions and work together to adapt to the impact of climate change and calls on countries to strengthen their commitment over time. So this agreement actually is to pursue efforts to limit the temperature increase to 1.5 centigrade above pre-industrial level. That is 1875. Now, if you allow temperature to go beyond, increase to go beyond 1.5 by 2100, so 21 year 2100. That is going to be a real disaster for all the living beings. So, however, by 2020, it had risen to 1.1 centigrade. So our target is actually 2050. Now there is another, the SDG also has got the commitment from the nation, the global community, change urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. Take urgent action. Countries periodically report on progress of nationally determined contributions and on the climate action plan to cut emissions and adapt to climate impacts. So each party to the Paris Agreement must establish an NDC, nationally determined contribution, and update it every 5 years. Sri Lanka also report on nationally determined contributions. What kind of action we take? We have a national action plan on climate change, national policy on climate change, and also national communication on climate change, periodically reporting to the UN system. So the COP convention is the most important thing. Countries of parties started 29 years ago. COP conference of the parties is a series of United Nations climate change conferences which have been running since 1995, focused on broad issues such as war, genocide, terrorism, human rights, poverty, famine, globalization, world trade, nuclear proliferation, and global warming, as well as more specific events such as, now during that time it was included as COVID-19 and economic recovery. That is economic recovery following COVID-19. The Conference of Parties was established by Convention as its main decision-making body. Body of the UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention of Climate Change. COP28 was held in Expo City, Dubai, 2023. Next COP is 29, will be in Azerbaijan. So COP28 closed with an agreement that signals the beginning of the end of the fossil fuel era by laying the ground for swift, just and equitable transition, underpinned by deep emission cuts and scale up finance. So this, everybody has to know simple transformation is that motor cars will be run by electric power and also hydrogen fuel cells. That is under development. But if you use thermal power to generate electricity, no point having electric cars because you have to charge electric cars using thermal power. You understand? If you have electric car, but if the government is burning fossil fuel to generate electricity, the advantage of having electric cars will be minimized. Instruments for combating climate change. As I said before, nationally determined contributions. It is a climate action plan to cut emissions and adapt to climate impacts. Each party to the Paris Agreement must establish an NDCC and update it every 5 years. NEPCC, National Action Plan on Climate Change. So, adaptation means anticipating the adverse effects of climate change and taking appropriate action to prevent or minimize the damage they can cause, or taking advantage of opportunities that may arise. Mitigation means making the impact of climate change less severe by preventing or reducing the emission of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Now, we cannot prevent floods, but we can prevent damage due to floods. Hope you understand. No? Flood is going to increase because of the climate change. What we have to do is we have to see the damage and also future damage and reduce damage by replacing, dislocating, relocating the affected people and also infrastructure. So key these instruments for combating change, combating climate change, depends on how well we do restoration of the environment, biodiversity, and natural resource base. So I say human civilization is unsustainable. Now, invention of the motor car is considered as a big leap in human civilization. We all like to travel in a motor car. But motor car is one of the biggest polluter of atmosphere. So, annual carbon footprint of a motor car, you can use this calculator. It's a link. 3.55 tons. Yeah, there's some issue here, but I'll correct it when I share the PowerPoint. You can have a calculator from the internet and find out how much, if your car is running on petrol, 1 liter of petrol is required to run 10 kilometers. So 1 liter, when it is burnt, it will produce carbon dioxide plus water vapor. So it combines with atmospheric oxygen, and if a liter of petrol is 900 grams, it will produce carbon dioxide plus water for 2.5 kilograms. Industrialization, human civilization is a garbage manufacturing factory, because our industrialization and human civilization is producing garbage, producing carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, hydrofluorocarbons, HCFCs, that damages ozone layer, hydrofluorocarbons, and ozone in the lower temperature, low atmosphere, sorry. Then unsustainable energy sources, that is burning of fuel, coal, and gas, even gas. Then wars fought in the name of religion, territory, and various other human notions. So wars also contributing to pollution. When you take the whole thing together, it can be stated that impact of anthropogenic activities in the past 200 years change the world. Anthropogenic means related to human civilization. Have you heard of this term, anthropogenic, before? Hello?
No,
Huh?
not familiar with this word.
Not heard?
Not heard.
No, anthropogenic means it is related to human. The Latin term is used by researchers and on human evolution. Then this is just a graphical, everything in a nutshell, observing Earth's global climate. Now this is how it works. All elements are there in this picture. When the sea surface temperature rises by a margin of say half a degree, it touches this edge of the ice cap here. Then these edges are melting. Then the whole thing can crash to the sea as ice, but within few months the whole thing will be dissolved because the temperature balance is not there when there is global warming. Solar radiation, now when the ozone layer, once the ozone layer is depleted, solar radiation will penetrate the atmosphere and warm this interface where the sea and the ice caps. That is the mechanism of ice cap, melting of ice. Now this is just a graphical presentation of what are the greenhouse gases and the contribution to global warming. Now human anthropogenic activities contribute carbon dioxide 64%, chlorofluorocarbons 11%, nitrous oxide 6%, methane 9%. Now methane is generated in agricultural land. And you know that cow, when they breathe, they also in their rumen, that is that stomach, the digestive process produce methane, the cows. Then there is a contribution from cows. That's why livestock also contributing methane. Then paddy fields also contributing methane. Chlorofluorocarbons is coming from our aerosol, say cosmetics, hair sprays, and various things. But in the 1980s, global community agreed not to use chlorofluorocarbon and use another alternative for those cosmetics. Yeah, CO2 emission and limits. A typical petrol car emits 500 grams of carbon dioxide per every kilometer run. Annually, average person in Sri Lanka produce 1 ton of greenhouse gas. In order to stop climate change, this is the maximum amount of CO2 that can be generated by a single person in a year. Now we have our limit is 600 kilograms per year. If you want to stop climate change. But we produce 1,000. Men contribute to climate change more than women. At the same time, women are more affected. How many ladies are in the audience? This is something that I want to mention here because men always contribute to climate change. Then burning a single liter of petrol produces 200 grams of CO2. On the other hand, diesel emits 260 grams of CO2. Hybrids can still have tailpipe emissions. Only fully electric cars will avoid emitting carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and hydrofluorocarbons. Each second, 200 tons of CO2 is removed from from the environment.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes.
Yeah, how is it? Why do they say men contribute to climate change more than women, and at the same time women are more affected? How? I didn't understand that.
You have to understand because it is obvious. No? Men do all the industrial activity, drive cars.
Oh, I see. They are more active.
Yeah, they are smoking.
Smoking.
And smoking also contributes. Anyway, they are mostly involved in converting resources, right? Then majority of the men do the working, no?
And they drive the cars.
They drive the cars also, trucks and trains, everything.
Yes, yes.
Planes,
But
ships.
wife is other seat.
Huh?
Wife is sitting on the other side.
Wife is in other
What is
seat.
it? Huh?
We are drivers for wife.
Wife.
Yeah,
And
that's
she
right.
complains. And she
Yes, yes.
complains.
They will be affected because in air pollution, I'm saying newborn children could be affected. Issues. So this is I found from somewhere. That's why I mentioned it. And I realize it is true.
Interesting point. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Those are the things that you can use in discussions.
Yes, especially at home.
Yeah.
Luckily, wife is not into this forum.
No.
No ladies in the forum.
I closed all the doors.
Right. Anyway, you just tell her that I told him.
Yes. I'll put it on you. මන් දන්නේ මේ මනුස්සයා කිව්වා. Of course, I don't agree.
So the other physical activities of human agriculture 13%, deforestation 14%, industrial process 24%, burning of fossil fuel 49%. The weightage of climate change contributions coming like this. So that's why if you reduce fossil fuel, we can save the planet. Right? Got the point? This is the carbon dioxide cycle. You can always refer to the fossil fuel and fossil fuel. What we do is we unearth, we pump out fossil fuel, burn it and put it to atmosphere. It was some 100 meters below the, sorry, 200, 300 meters below the ground. You take it out, convert it to a undegradable matter, and part of it put it to the water, atmosphere, and other products which are also harmful to the environment. Now, this is how global monthly mean CO2 rise, as I mentioned, is earlier 420 mark is past ppm. So 3 steps to reduce carbon emission. I think I can share this. As I said, you can. Step 1. Yeah, this is just for the reference. Now, CO2 emission of different vehicles. Also, I have given. You can see petrol car. Petrol car CO2 exhaust emission. Grams per kilometer. Conventional vehicle is very high. Now this one, the horizontal line gives vehicle production and disposal. When you produce a vehicle, it has 3 phases: vehicle production and disposal, fuel production, CO2 exhaustion. So running time and production time. Battery electric vehicles, CO2 emission is reduced, but there is the battery components going to pollute once you dispose it. This is how carbon emission by country. So now China is the highest. US is second. So China is 1.5 billion people contributing to industrial activity, transport, agriculture. Now we'll go to the ozone layer, outlook for ozone layer. Now, how many of you know about ozone layer? Ozone means O3. Oxygen 3 oxygens are there in this atmosphere, upper atmosphere. What happens is actually sunlight, when it penetrates through the atmosphere, oxygen atoms there is a process of splitting, then O3 is formed. But when CFCs are emitted, CFC atoms, molecules interact with O3. Then O3 is broken into CO2 and various other things, and O3 is depleted. That is why whole means big area is a depleted ozone layer is produced. Depleted ozone layer cannot protect us from UV radiation.
Grace.
Yeah. Ultraviolet radiation is increased due to. Now, the only achievement is that banning of CFCs has produced some results, and scientists say that ozone hole is now continue to shrink. Key facts: ozone layer depletion. A significant reduction in ozone depletion substance consumption has been achieved globally since 1986. Especially after the Montreal Protocol, UNEP, United Nations Environment Program, conducted the Montreal Protocol, has largely driven this reduction. The largest historical extent of ozone hole was 2.84 million square kilometers, occurred in September 2000. This area is equivalent to almost 7 times the territory of the European Union countries. The 23 ozone hole has been larger compared to 2022. That is also a bit of a concern. Ozone in the stratosphere absorbs most of the ultraviolet radiation from sun. Without ozone, the sun's intense UV radiation would sterilize the Earth's surface. That is the alarming issue. So this is how they have mapped ozone layer. Now, 2022, it was smaller than 23. Now I have mentioned these critical issues. Biodiversity loss is one of the serious issues. That is due to exploitation of natural resources beyond the Earth's capacity to replenish. Now, if we cut forest at a rate which is not replenishable by the natural process, then there will be a severe impact on the human health and also health of the planet and water and temperature rise. A recent WWF report found that population size of mammals, fish, birds, reptiles, and amphibians have experienced a decline of an average of 68% between 1970 and 2016. Yeah, critical environment is I even just listed. Number 5 is plastic pollution, 2 million tons, 400 million tons from 1950 to 2050. That it has increased from 2 million to 400 million during this 65 years. Less than 100%, 10% is recycled. So now see, can you believe that? It takes 400 years to degrade plastic. One of the most critical issues, only a few has made a fortune. Plastic, only a few has made a fortune by inventing plastic and producing. But almost all the people on Earth will be affected due to plastics. Now it has become a part of our life. How many plastics, polythenes we are using per day? So the number 6 critical issues, deforestation. Every hour, forest of the size of 300 football fields are cut down. By the year 2030, the planet might have only 10% of forest. If deforestation isn't stopped, they could all be gone in less than 100 years. So Brazil, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Indonesia, they have the world's biggest rainforest. Amazon, Congo, and Indonesia, this Sumatra, Java area. Next is air pollution. WHO says 4.2 to 7 million people die every year because of CO2 pollution. Then melting ice caps and sea level rise. As I mentioned before, 3.2 millimeter per year globally. If the entire Greenland ice sheet melts, sea level would rise by 6 meters. So people in coastal areas will be affected due to severe flooding. Maldives will be gone. Ocean acidification is the next one. Ocean absorbs 30% of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, causing pH rise in sea. Now, we know always the ocean is in touch with the atmosphere. There is a always friction between atmosphere and ocean. So that is aeration takes place. With that aeration, CO2 mixed with the seawater. So that affects pH rise in sea because of carbon, what do you call COH, sorry, carbonic acid. Bleaching coral reef damage, complete wipe out by 2050. Coral reef damage may completely wipe out by 2050. Then agriculture land, water and environment, use of fertilizer and methane emission, unsustainable agriculture with high carbon and water footprint. A lot of water is used for agriculture. Waste, water and food insecurity. By 2025, 2/3 of the world population may face water shortages. Loss of topsoil due to high erosion. Then it will affect food production. Now, there is a question by me. You know, in your day-to-day life, what do you do to protect the planet? I don't want to ask this question. Just a question for you to ponder when you have free time. There's a thing called environmental rights and governance. Sustainability is maintaining development and consumption within the Earth's replenishment capacity. The development has to be within the limit of our consumption. Development and consumption should be within the limit of Earth's replenishment capacity. In our globalized world, environment threats require effective responses that promote peace, justice, development, and fulfillment of environment and human rights. Now, affluent people, they build a house, fix air condition, and live comfortably in the house. But for others who cannot afford anything, their environmental rights are violated because of the global warming and also air pollution. Now, we clean our air with an air condition when we drive our cars also, air is clean through car air conditioning. But others, those who cannot afford those things, are affected and their rights are violated by affluent class. Now, I have seen husbands, they drop their wives at the supermarket. Then the husband goes to the car park and switch on, continue to idle the engine and switch on the air condition until wife returns from the supermarket. How many of you do that? Huh?
Now we can't do that. Petrol price is so
No, when I see somebody like that, I feel like shouting at them, but I'm also scared if they hammer me because anyway, as an environmental engineer, I really hate those. Those are the things that you can contribute.
Hmm.
You never idle a car when it is not being run. Then UNEP promotes sound environmental governance. The rules, policies, and institutions that shape how humans interact with the environment. By building robust governance system, we can safeguard the environment and human rights and work towards all 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. Adhere to environmental and social safeguards in all development activities. Now, have you noticed when you in Colombo, would have feel, no, this not this year. Last year, one of the hottest years, temperature, ambient temperature of Colombo has gone up because of the built environment. We have paved areas. Now, construction of highways and new buildings, all are paved areas. So heat absorb and release in the night, those buildings. That is a big issue. So this is the map showing water stress by country. Now you can see we are high stress country by withdrawal to supply. I'm not going to talk about water resources here, but it's just to give you an idea. So this is how the water scarcity and water stress are classified, and water stress countries, water scarce countries, absolute scarcity exists in this desert, Middle East, Sahara, and other deserts. Then the water stress, most of the African countries. We are in Sri Lanka, the water stress is calculated as 18%. So Australia is a water scarce country. There is, compared to India, we are much better. I think I mentioned these things above. Yeah, the conference convention, that is COP, that is the global summit. Sorry, that slide is from the last year's lecture. Sorry. Climate research. The long-term regional global average temperature, humidity and rainfall patterns over seasons, years or decades. Now, these are the weather parameters that is used for climate research. So you have to take about 100 years and get these parameters and plot graphs and check about that variations and also ups and downs. Now, for example, Nuarelia is susceptible to climate change. It is expected that by 2050, number of days with 23 degrees or above temperature rise will increase to 250 per year. That is, 250 days of the year will have temperature 23 degrees and above. Now, 50 years ago, this was not so. Only in March, April might go above 23 degrees temperature 50 years ago. So the climate risk country profile. Now that is also published by the global environmental, the UN Environmental Agency. We were ranked in 2019 as number 2 climate risk index. Now, risk country profile will be affected due to extreme heat, with the number of days surpassing 35 degrees centigrade, potentially rising from baseline of 20 days to more than 100 days. In some countries, this could happen. Now, we have to check Sri Lanka's status. And this is predicted by 2090s. Under emission pathway, RCP 8.5 is a system developed by climate impact measurement. That is, I think, too much for this lecture. It is another subject. Use weather data to carry out climate research, rainfall, humidity, temperature, wind speed, number of sunny days and rainy days.
Can I ask a question, please, on this? Now, on the second para, you said Norelia is susceptible to climate change. It is expected by 2050, number of days with 23 degrees Celsius or above will rise to 250 per year. So then how much will Colombo go up by?
Colombo, the issue is number of days with more than 30 degrees temperature. Oh, no, sorry, 32 degrees.
Yeah, now our average is about, like, I don't know, 29, 30.
Now the temperature is 30.7. But
Okay.
during day, it will be 32.
Yeah.
So we will be very uncomfortable if the temperature goes above 31.
Mm.
Yeah.
So in Norelia, now it'll, if it's going up to 23 degrees, at the moment, the Norelia average is, I don't know, 15 degrees. So that's about an 8 degree centigrade increase. So Colombo will become about 38 then.
Yeah, it depends on 1 minute. Hello. Hello. Yeah, that's why this research, I need to find out the Colombo situation.
Whether there is a linear relationship between Colombo and Norelia, or whether in the hills it's different.
It's different, no linear relation.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is, in fact, now this temperature rise is due to global warming and also ozone depletion. But once you correct this ozone, and emission reduction of emission can hold back this kind of.
Correct.
So if we go, do business as usual, then now last year temperature was higher than this year. This year,
Mm.
it rained a lot. Yeah. Tropical low mega thermal climates, climate classifications are there. This is tropical low megathermal climates. Tropical low megathermal climates are characterized as having constant warm temperature. We are tropical, Colombo. Dry or arid climates have low precipitation rates. Dry or arid means vegetation is not very heavy. Temperature mesothermal climates. Temperate mesothermal climates maintain mild annual temperature. It's like European region. Then continental low microthermal climates. Continental low microthermal climates have hot summers and cold winters, occurring typically at the interior of a continent. Polar or alpine climates. Polar or alpine climates sustain consistent cold temperatures throughout the year. These are the climate classifications. Now, have you come across these two terms, adaptation and mitigation? Anybody respond? When we discuss climate issues, we talk about adaptation measures and mitigation measures. Adaptation is anticipating the adverse effects of climate change and taking appropriate action to prevent or minimize damage they can cause, or taking advantage of opportunities that may arise. So for example, floods, droughts, and landslides, earthquakes and volcano storms. Now, adaptation is you build infrastructure to withstand climate resilient infrastructure. Have you heard that term, climate resilient infrastructure? That is how you adapt to climate change.
Mhm.
Yeah. And also, now say, droughts, adaptation to droughts, what you do is, you don't do certain activities. You don't recommend that those activities which are affecting due to droughts. You have to relocate. Mitigation is making the impacts of climate change less severe by preventing or reducing the emission of greenhouse gas into the atmosphere. Mitigation is achieved. Mitigation could be achieved through reducing emission, reforestation, restoration, or natural resource base, restoration of the natural resource base, decarbonize, protect ecosystem. Now, ecosystem, Colombo was called city of wetlands. I think they were actually now we have reclaimed 40% of the wetlands existed 50 years ago in Colombo. Wetlands absorb climate impacts, that is temperature rise, and regulate temperature in a city if you have wetlands. So keeping the wetlands there without encroaching or without reclaiming the land, then we can mitigate the impacts of climate change.
Question, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this should be done at a national level, not at an individual level.
No, national. Yeah, there are policies.
Yeah.
That's why now the Sri Lanka Land Development and Reclamation Board is now not reclaiming any land. They have all changed their mandate. They are not reclaiming any of the wetlands. They have stopped because they have found that it is bad for the climate in the city.
Isn't that what's causing the floods in Colombo?
Yes. So they have a flood buffer zones.
Zones, yeah.
Yeah, in the wetlands absorb floods. Build something reclaiming the wetland. The intensity of runoff is increased, and downstream things are washed down. Yeah, there is an intergovernmental panel on climate change established by UN body for assessing the science-related climate change. Now, this is a developing science. we say climate change, everything we know the impacts, we know the causes and everything, but still it is a developing science. So exact, through research, we need to find out exact measures to be taken, exact reasons for impacts, and how we change the way we do business by with the complete knowledge of the mechanism of climate change. Established guideline for carbon emission by this IPCC. Then carbon sequestration is the process of capturing and storing atmospheric carbon dioxide. That is simply we grow trees. Carbon sinks. That means we capture carbon dioxide in the trees. Let us go back to the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, these are the part of the global environmental issues. So SDGs were born at United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development in Rio de Janeiro in 2012. Adopted by the United Nations, 180 countries in 2015 as universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that by 2030 all people enjoy peace and prosperity. So there are 17 goals. We have to, the commitment is to achieve these goals by 2030. The period given is 2015 to 2030. Now we have only 6 years left. So there are 169 targets for each goal. Now this goal is achieved through fulfilling these targets. Those are the, now for example, the goal is to provide safe water to the, so universal access to safe water. Okay. Goal is universal access to safe water. But targets are providing piped water, providing treated water, then accessibility, availability, and quality. Improve accessibility, availability, and quality. So there are, in the water goal, that is SDG number 6, has 8 targets. Then indicate how to measure that the targets have been achieved and the goal is accomplished. There are 244 indicators per each goal. Sorry, for the 17 goals, 169 targets and 244 indicators. Now, combating climate change is also SDG goal number 13. Reduce greenhouse gas emission is a target. Now, how much is reduced is a target. Indicator is how much. Reducing greenhouse gas is target. Indicator is measured by annual reduction of, say, greenhouse gas emission. That is an example I just want to explain on this. Now these are the 3, I think I saw this previously. Now each goal has, within the bracket, I have mentioned the number of targets. So 1 to 6, right-based goals. 7 to 12, development and growth. 13 to 17, health of the plant. Yeah, each goal has at least, on an average basis, 7 to 5 to 19 targets. Now, education for all has 10 targets, from provision of infrastructure to access to school, access to environment, school environment, and transport. Everything is there in the school. So this is graphical representation of how the man at the center contributing to finally everything goes to water. Water and environmental pollution. How everything is contributing to liquid waste and solid waste, contributing to water and environmental pollution. Now, economic effects. The economy is affected due to loss of fish life, reduction in agriculture output, loss of recreational value, loss of navigational use, fall in land value, eutrophication and loss of water resources, increase water treatment cost. Now, one slogan that I developed is in terms of water, you take water, value of water is reducing, cost of water is rising. How do you explain that? Value of water is reducing, cost of water is rising. Any response from you? I don't know whether you have to be familiar with water anyway, regardless of your discipline. I think yeah.
Value may be the quality, and the cost may be the expenses for the production or something like that.
Treatment.
For
Well,
yeah, treatment or something.
50 years ago, we could drink water from a well, right? Without any treatment or without any payment. So
Yeah,
that
yes,
was
of course. Yeah.
valued, that the water was valued at that time. So it was valuable water. Then now we have to pay for pipe water, cost of treatment plus conveyance. So that is the cost of water has gone up.
Yes, yes.
So what to expect as Sri Lankans? Now this is climate zones in Sri Lanka and the case study areas. Now, in the agroecological regions, they have studied and found out that this red area is classified as dry, then yellow, intermediate, and blue, wet. So wet areas becoming wetter. That is the impact of climate change. Rainfall intensity is increasing. Now Colombo is in the wet zone. Dry areas expanding. Intermediate areas becoming hotter. And agroeconomic regions will be affected due to extreme events. Floods, landslide, and droughts. Increasing vulnerable population. Temperature changes in the regions will affect plantation and natural resources. So these are the things which is going on as well as aggravated in the future. Sri Lanka is losing forest cover. I hope you can go through this. It's an alarming thing. You know, 50 years, no, these 5 decades should be about 6 decades now, 6 or 7. 1950, it was 48%. Now it is less than 28%. Now, Köppen climate classification, that is the system of climate classification used by the climate experts. In fact, we are lucky, we have all climate zones. It is very unique feature. Köppen climate classification. Sri Lanka. We have tropical, monsoon, dry, equatorial, temperate climate, continental climate, polar climate. Polar, we don't have polar. Sorry. Equatorial is the dark blue. Monsoon is slightly, the light blue is tropical savanna. These are, no, sorry, the left-hand column is the Köppen climate classification regions. How it is related to Sri Lanka. Tropical means monsoon. Dry equatorial, temperate ocean. Tropical savanna is continental. Now their classification, this is our classification. We classify as monsoon climate zone, then dry and intermediate zone. So we call these disasters as hydrometeorological disaster, HMDs. So how Sri Lanka is affected is floods annually, droughts annually, landslides common with intense rainfall, cyclones. We remember 2003, there was a severe cyclone. Tsunami only once. Earthquakes, no. No, sorry, only tremors. Volcanoes, prehistoric. Now, prehistoric means now in the central region, scientists believe that these rocky, all the rocky areas are volcanic active areas in the prehistoric eras. Tornadoes, no. Only in very high in US, tornado alley. Glaciers, storms common with intense rainfall. Salinity intrusion, we are affected. During droughts, our rivers are affected. Challenges to engineers. So these are the challenges engineers in mitigating, adapting climate change, building climate resilient infrastructure, understand local problems. When you design something, you would have designed something 50 years ago without considering climate impacts. But now we have to consider the climate impacts when designing infrastructure. For example, temperature rises and energy conservation buildings. Buildings has to be designed to conserve energy. Conserve energy means during daytime you should not switch on light. That is an example. During daytime you should not switch on lights and function the activities in a building. And it is not efficient, energy efficient building. Because during daytime you have enough sunlight. You have to design the building to get sunlight but not get the heat. That kind of example I can give. Then energy efficient, water use efficiency, carbon footprint, low carbon footprint, limit greenhouse gas emission. What is the footprint? Term used for footprint. Any response from the audience?
The amount of carbon you use per year as an individual or as a country.
Yeah. Or also for products.
Hmm.
Yeah. Now, for example, if you now I consider I should not eat beef because as an environmental engineer, to produce beef, the footprint of forest land used for grazing cows,
Hmm.
and also produce 1 kilogram of beef, you need 20 meter cubes of water. So footprint of water of beef is
Hmm.
20 meter cubes of water. So that's why beef eating will kill the planet.
Hmm.
Unfortunately. So that is how footprint. Now we we burn a liter of petrol. Carbon footprint is 2.2 kilograms or 2.2. Climate risk assessment, risk and opportunity analysis that you have to do for a project or ongoing infrastructure. Now, for example, Southern Highway, you reassess the climate risk and opportunity analysis. How much losses can cause you to, now you would have seen the hydrological concerns have not been fully incorporated into Southern Highway because we have experienced landslide, subsidence, part of the highway goes under flood. So number 3, 4, mitigate side effects, location specific hazards, identification in feasibility and build resilience. These are good exercise if you can think of your day-to-day activities and develop into the project and programs. Sustainable development and self-reliance. So if the project's cost recovery is there, and you have to earn a net income for sustainable utilization of the facility. It has to be self-reliance without burdening the whole country. If the facility is for a certain community, that community has to meet the full cost. Then minimize resource conversion, damage to environment. You convert resources. You convert forest to timber and build houses, furniture. But when you stop felling trees and construct your furniture and houses, if you construct your doors and windows with aluminum, that will help. But if you construct your furniture with plastic, that is also bad. Use of renewable energy and reduce global warming. If you have solar panels fixed onto your roof, that is renewable energy. You will reduce global warming. 5 pillars of climate resilience are threshold capacity, coping capacity, recovery capacity. Coping capacity is that how much we can cope with impacts. Threshold means now carbon emission threshold is 450 ppm in the atmosphere. So if the threshold is passed, respiratory capacity, lung issues, respiratory problems will rise and a lot of people die. No, it's actually not a point of an event, but it is a gradually increasing. After the threshold, the rate of deaths will increase. Coping capacity will reduce. Recovery capacity will reduce. Adaptive capacity also need to be improved through adaptive measures and transformative capacity. Overall, transformative capacity has to be built into the policies and development plans. The Center for Engineering and Resilience for Climate Change, I think there is an international body. And if you go to that website, you can improve your knowledge on further climate resilience and climate adaptation. Now I can allow you further questions. Any questions or any areas that you couldn't understand well, unclear areas? This subject is very complex and, it's all over the place. Everything is connected to climate change. And climate change is connected to everything. Yeah.
Can I just say something on this? Now, of course, when you say challenges to engineers, now this won't, we won't take it into consideration to so that much of an effect if you're building a, say, a 5-story, 6-story or 10-story building. You can always design to, like you said, to have more natural light and for the building to be more energy efficient, less water, etc., etc. But on a national level, now, for example, the Southern Highway, if you must have contravened practically all of these areas, these risk areas that we have to take care to save.
Yeah.
But then you have to do the development as well as the same time.
Yeah,
Because if you go to one extreme, then don't develop at all.
Yeah, that is why we have sustainable development goals. Development has to be sustainable.
Sustainable.
Now the impacts, unavoidable impacts are there. But how to mitigate those impacts? Incorporate mitigatory measures into the development. That you complement the environment and it is a very, very high, it's a philosophy. And you have to individually think about the project. You put the project in front of you, whole thing together, all the full picture. And you must have the sharpness of your brain to find out, say, 5 years' time, what is going to happen? 10 years' time, what is going to happen? That is called foresight and anticipation. Foresight, that is a term used in strategic planning. Now, strategic planning came into development work after these military issues, after the wars. So only during wars they planned, they use strategic planning. that they use foresight and anticipation. Now, for example, the enemy, you have the foresight to see the enemy and you anticipate his action. Before his action, you shoot the enemy. Simple example, right?
Hmm.
So that is why it is called rigorous analysis. Unlike 50 years ago, you just go and with a bulldozer, you change the landscape, right? You do whatever you like. Nobody questions. But now,
Hmm.
as I mentioned last Friday, environmental safeguards, social safeguards.
Hmm.
You have to fulfill those things to get the loan effectiveness. Now we are building everything on loan, so we cannot overlook.
Hmm.
Now I'll tell you, in Britain, UK, if there is a highway to be built, if there is a bird's nest, they won't touch that.
Hmm.
That kind of extreme level they have gone.
Awareness, the awareness.
So that's why rigorous analysis has to be done and get the EIA and IE passed. Now, Southern Highway, EIA was also a big challenge. And compensation was the second highest component of the cost. Yeah.
So the thing is to when you're aware of all these challenges to the environment, so that you can minimize it as much as possible.
Yeah.
To
Meet the
make
criteria.
it
Criteria for a better project.
for a better project. You can't eliminate it, but you can reduce it to as much to a great extent.
Even during operation,
Hmm.
you have to have an environmental monitoring plan. There are two kinds of things. Environmental management plan during construction. Environmental monitoring plan during operation. When you apply those things, you can have a better project. Build back better. Any others only I can hear you. Your name, please?
I'm Ghani, Faisal Ghani.
Right. Thank you for asking. No, you can't you can't pitch your next door man because he's far away. No? You can't ask somebody to ask questions because you are individual compartments. Others are there or not there. Because it is fair it is not fair by me if you don't ask questions. Others. Ghani is okay. He is actively participating.
And it helps us also when others also ask. We learn from their questions. We also learn.
Yeah, that's right. Let them ask. I give you 5 minutes. Some takeaway message. Yeah, there are number of parties, 42. How many have left the room?
Actually, in the uh, 17 goal, in
Yeah.
the indicator and the targets, maybe it's want to be different to country, especially in Sri Lanka or some other countries. We cannot. I don't know the target is unique for all country, but it should be different because even if you are talking about a highway, southern highway, we cannot follow the very tightly the standard from the UN or whatever, because it is in our country, it is a very important development. The Southern Highway is important development. Something like that, some major development need to be done. Even our climate and our forest and our the natural is it's much better than the country we are talking or we are with others. So we cannot we have more flexibility than other countries. So we cannot roughly. I'm not against the climate. We have the medication. We cannot adaptation with their standard. Even we are not going to adaptation with adapt to the climate. We can medicate, but that's what it's my opinion.
Yeah.
So we have to focus
Yeah,
on the
but now
development. We have to,
one thing is our country,
yeah.
Sri Lanka, sorry, Sri Lanka is one of the highest biodiversities in the world.
Yeah, yes.
So we are more
So that's
sensitive than other countries. Our
sorry.
environment is more
Yeah.
sensitive, so that you need to have that fact on your table. So
You mean you mean since it is our country, it's so sensitive to the biodiversity,
yeah,
we should more focus on that. Is
yes,
that
yes.
mean? Yeah, it's
So
maybe, but it's
for
of course.
example, now Southern Highway,
Mm.
the benefits are that cars are moving fast, fuel economy is there, no traffic jams, pollution is reduced. Okay,
Yeah,
and time saved.
Time
yeah.
travel, yeah.
Yeah. Then you can always, a lot of benefits are there. At the same time, you have to mitigate the impacts during construction.
Yes.
operation.
Yeah. Medication for all
Now,
the
so
development
for
that,
example,
yes.
now Southern Highway is there. Now the drainage from the Southern Highway comes to the side of the road and goes to the lands. Now in developed countries, like Australia and say most of the developed countries, those drainage is collected in a pond before it is
Oh, I see.
released to the environment and allowed to they remove the sulfur, carbon, because now, as I said, tire waste is going half of the tire waste, say 1 inch or say 30 millimeter tire waste, 20 millimeter tire waste goes to water and atmosphere.
Atmosphere.
So the drainage water has this sludge, oil. So we must not directly release to the environment, but try to contain it in a retention basin and let it overflow. That kind of thing, that is also indicator for mitigating impacts.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, actually, I understand that.
Yeah.
But also for
Yeah.
Sri Lanka, the country is a more natural water is there. Most now only recently there is a development water diversification project only. I think last 5 years or only they started and we make a tunnel and diverting for some other places and we serving the waters. But still a lot of waters we are wasting. We are not serving the water. I mean wasting mean we are send it to all the waters to the sea. So even we are care about the water that is come over the road and we have to mitigate it and serve that water to make it clean. That is, of course, it's good. But if you think about that level, why we can't think about the lot of waters we are wasting and sending back to the sea? If we keep the waters within our land, it is also make our land is more resourceable. That mean more mineralized or
Yeah,
something like that. It's
there is
become more valuable land.
Yeah.
more valuable land.
So
So
there's this
one-
state. Okay, continue. Please.
yeah,
go
it's something like that. We are all the water wasting from some industrial, something like the land transportation, that this highway transportation. We are focusing on that medication for that pollution. At the same time, we seriously concerned about all the water diversification and save the water. So we reroute the waters or something like that. We have to, as engineers, we have to more focus on that. This is my concern actually. Even it is become as a climate change. It must be in the climate change. In the climate, we serve the climate. We for as a part of the medication. Okay, some kind of we are doing some development. So for that part, we can say this is our medications. This is
Yeah.
what we are losing there. It is much more we are protecting. We are losing something. If it is some kind of measurement, we say five unit, we are protecting 10 unit. So like that, we cannot do medicate it in exactly the same way. But we are doing the pollution in the same way. We can do the medication. It is not going to be 100% recovered. How we make the pollution, it's not going to be 100% medicated. Even if you put the more cost, more effort, but the benefit will not be what we expected from that. So we have to think about the meditation, the medication in some other way. So how we can make the climate improve?
Water
Not only,
shortage. Yes.
yeah,
Yes. Carry
yeah.
on.
Not only, that's why I'm telling. From that point, we can get the climate protection as at the same time as a country. We can improve our healthy life, and also our earth and our lands, our water resources, and so many things. That is also one part.
Yeah.
I don't know what are the other factors. For example, you told about the ozone and other climate things. Maybe there's a lot of other climate affecting matters. But I don't think so. Our Sri Lankans, we are producing that is too much when compared with our populations, because our population is not using those things more higher. When compared with the ratio, I don't think our people more usages those things. So we are not worried about those things. This is my opinion, because we are not putting those kind of emission or those kind of chemical or some
we
kind
don't
of
import.
serious.
We don't import.
That's,
CFCs.
So we Sri Lankan using even the food and everything is we are using our product. So we have to focus on that one also.
We can improve.
Yes. In the production and the production in the food production also, we make a standard. We have to make a standard. Our food is more healthy and our food is more mineralized than what other foods we are importing, and so we have to think about in that case also. Even the climate change, we can come to the connect with this food matters also, because when compared with the climate effect or climate some other chemical and all other factors, our food is more quality than other country. So we have to make some relations between this climate and some food quality or something. This is my some kind of we can say some kind of strategy. So comments.
To contribute to add to your concerns. Now, one of our challenge issue is we are one of the highest population densities in the world. For per square kilometer.
No. Sorry, sir. Actually, I don't think so, because okay, our land is very limited. I understand.
We
Our
are
land is very limited.
36, number 36 or 37. Population density wise, in the Asian region, we are second actually. Next to Bangladesh. So we have 65,000 square meters divided by 22 million. You get 324 people per square
So
kilometer.
I understand. Yeah, I understand. You mean when I say the food production, yeah, we have to. What I mean is our product, our food. We have to standardize. We are not going to make a huge bulky productions or something. We have to make our food is very standard. We are very very quality.
Yeah,
Even the
quality
land,
can
but
be
we are not
improved
using.
by
I understand the density is depend on the land, but still,
no, population density means stress on
sorry.
the natural resources. Population density proportionately equal to the stress on natural resources.
Uh,
That is the equation I'm trying to say.
uh,
You understand?
right, right.
So that
Okay,
is
okay.
that is the thing that we need to
Yeah.
have it in our mind. Hmm.
Okay. I'm not actually, sir. I'm not clear about that one. Maybe I thought
No,
it is
no.
in
Population
the land, right?
density.
Yeah.
Population density is proportionately equal to.
Voice is dropping, sir. It's not
Wait,
not
I'll
clear.
shout then. Population density is proportionately equal to the stress on natural resources. That you understand?
Okay, okay. Yeah, natural resources, as you said, yeah, maybe the air, water, land, and all the natural resources. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
No.
do you think that the land which are not used or we are not utilized, that production of the food, our standard food, it's maybe cause for a population density? Yeah, I don't think so, because it will be improved.
No.
Then,
What I
of
mean,
course, the population density will be improved.
population density and poverty.
Yeah.
Population density is one factor. Poverty is another factor. Poverty also can
Yeah.
is a cause for
Reduce.
exploitation of the natural resource. So that's a lot of.
No, okay, sir. I heard to go. I because yesterday,
Yeah.
yesterday, 2 days I just read, but I'm not. I don't know what is the this these relations, these things. But right.
So now you
Yeah.
need to improve. Are you civil
Yes.
engineer?
Yeah. I'm basically from electrical engineering, electrical and information engineering.
Yeah. Then yeah. Regardless of what you need to have this kind of analysis. What is population density? How it is going to affect the
Hello.
per capita?
Yeah. Yes.
Now we have a thing called per capita water availability. Per capita water
That is
availability. Our
that's
per capita. Huh? No, that is 2,300 meter cubes per person per year.
okay. We
That
can
is-
increase it more then.
Huh? No.
Hello, sir,
That is depending
you
on the
mean
renewable water resources. Now, in your earlier comment, what I have to say is we have developed all the water resources which are cost effective. Now, if we try to build more reservoirs, those are not cost effective. What I'm saying is we have mobilized cost effective water resources and built dams and reservoirs and improve storage inside the country. But in the future or at present, we cannot find cheap development of water. You got the point?
I'm not clear, sir. Anyway, I'm not clear actually. You mean per capita water per capita once
Per capita
it is
water is
something the
coming
water
like
is
this.
within our land within
Yeah,
the
within our land.
within,
Now we get 2,000 millimeters of
so
rain.
then once
There's a simple calculation.
so once
2,000 millimeters of rainfall.
yeah,
Multiplied by 65,600 square kilometers. Then you get 132 billion meter cubes of rainfall. Then you allow for runoff and utilizable water resources 48 billion meter cubes of water, right? That 48 billion you divide by 22.2 million people. Then you get the per capita water availability.
So if I may just jump in here, so it's the square area of the country, how much of rainfall that falls on it, leaving for runoff, and that is how you calculate the quantity of water. Am I
Yes,
right?
yeah,
So how many inches or millimeters of rainfall do you take average for a year?
2000 millimeters.
2000 millimeters.
Yeah.
Right. So 2000 multiplied by the square area will give you the cubage of this thing divided by the population.
Yeah, not
Right,
divided, but you have to deduct for evaporation and loss of
Yeah,
sediments
yeah.
runoff to the sea, and we are utilizing for agriculture, all those things.
All right.
Sir, my question is, what is the relations? What is the relations with the cost? Cost mean you talk about the cost effective
No, cost means
with the
now,
per
can
capita.
you imagine you
What?
can build a Victoria Dam again? Can you build?
Yeah. Okay.
You
For
think of
okay,
building
some kind.
nobody going to give money, because they know how if World Bank, if you put up a proposal to World Bank and say that I need $5 billion to develop a dam, then they will ask, what are the impacts? How do you mitigate? How do you reduce environmental save and social safeguards? When you
Yeah,
act on
sir.
those
This
things,
is
those things were not there in the 80s.
something like
That is why we could build it.
something like, sir. It's something like we are not going to focus on constructing the Victoria Dam. So
I know,
my
the example.
suggestion is, anyway, even if the small in
Yeah.
not even small dam also, it will be more utilized. Small dam, it's not
Yeah,
going
small
to be
dams are
very
good.
huge.
What you have to do is
Yeah,
have water within the community, for the
yeah,
community.
yeah.
It's a
So
small
that's
scale
why
development. Small is
that is
beautiful.
that is beautiful, and also it will be
Sustainable.
it's
Sustainable.
easy for a more functionable, sustainable, also more functionable. It's something like it can be used fully,
So
Yeah,
yeah,
even if the geography, if the location is geographically, it is possible to construct something like the
Now I
Victoria.
will
We
give
can
you
think about
I will
some
just give you a
power
concept. Okay, concept. Here's the
power
concept.
generation or some
I develop a concept. It's not from the book. Sustainable village.
I'm sure.
Sustainable village. Right? Sustainable village means within the village, they have all the natural resources. They produce electricity from solar. They have the
No, sir.
borehole.
No. I'm not say. No, sir. I'm not talking about that one. If the geographical location is possible to construct the dam like a Victoria, we can think about all the water to use to generate the power, or some kind of utilization. For the small dam, we can utilize for some other purpose. That's what I'm here referring. So the utilization will be higher here.
Small tank has to be in a village. So that is why I said sustainable village means they have a small tank to do agriculture.
Yes,
Borehole to drink water. They have solar
Mm.
power to generate electricity. Then that is the concept of sustainable village.
and he's
Yeah.
referring to sort of a local development, not at a national level, just local development where the
That's why
geography
I
and the resources allow it.
I told the same thing. Say the same thing means sustainable
Yeah.
village means small development for the
Sustainable.
community. For the community, by the community.
Yeah, that is a small part, but still, once we started from, it is the big development. It is possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
No,
This
those
is
are
like building a. This is like
we
building an
cannot build.
anicut, building an
We
anicut
cannot.
across the anicut across a river or something, a small river
then
or
divert.
a stream.
Yeah, so you divert the small scale.
Yeah, divert for
So
paddy
water to the
cultivation and things.
agricultural purpose for the village. that is allowed.
Yeah.
So that's why it's called sustainable village. Sustainable village means the people are having all their needs within their means. But
Basically,
some
sir,
means-
as a summary,
Hmm.
as what you said is now in the case of big projects like Southern Highway, like Victoria, no more cheap funding is not available because the financial that environmental issues. So
Hmm.
we have to model our development accordingly. Basically,
Ah,
that
that's right.
saying that ne?
That is
Yeah,
why
yeah, okay. Okay.
you have to re-engineer.
Re-engineering anything. Ne?
It's called re-engineering to face the current scenario.
Actually now I think that same issues came with that what the coal power plant also. The power generation, the cost is very small, but there are no low cost funding for
Yeah, that's right.
plants.
Yeah, coal, nobody will support coal
Coal power plants, yes.
because it is against that COP,
Yeah.
COP
Mm.
decisions.
And the environmental damage.
Yeah.
The
China, what they are rich and they can do anything. That's what they are doing.
yeah.
I think China funding only available for those mega projects now. No?
Yeah, that will be a costly. Now we take a loan from World Bank or ADB at 1% service charge.
Mm.
If we borrow money from China, it will be a 6% or 9%.
That is why we are in this situation now. Think, no?
Simply if I ask why we think about too much loan, so that is the because why we think
No,
about
our
too much
economy
loan.
now nobody knows about our economy. Our economy
Yeah.
is just maximum $18 billion per year. That was achieved in 2018. Out of that annual revenue, annual foreign exchange earnings, nearly $4 billion you have to spend on fuel.
Mm.
That's a big amount. 40. Sometimes we get only 12 billion per year. So it is 30 to 40% we are spending on our fuel. That is unsustainable economy.
Mm.
Sir,
But
actually these are the
unfortunately, we have highly qualified economists who support this kind of spending.
Yes, that's right. Now there are a lot
Sir,
of promises by the politician these days to increase what do you call handouts and reduce taxes.
Mm.
It's going to be a disaster. I don't want to talk.
That will only be due only till the elections, I suppose.
Yeah.
Practically very
Election time they can promise sun and moon, but when they have to eat the pudding, proof of the pudding is eating the pudding.
Like that promise to increase the state labor salaries by 1,000 rupees or 1,500 rupees or something.
Yeah.
That affects the entire tea industry. I mean, it's a good thing if you can pay the laborer, the hardworking poor guy, a higher wage. Everybody will support that. But it has to be the industry has to be able to sustain that. No?
Yeah, actually,
Can I add
the part of the companies have agreed. Some companies have. That means they have to improve their performance. And, that's why these are not.
sir,
We cannot
can I add a small point on that?
Everything has to be improved annually. So incremental improvement is a continuous process. Everything has to be improved. We cannot stagnate. We are small economy. We had a crash. We had a debacle. That to come out from this, we need three stages of economic development to recover from this calamity, recover from the debacle, then restore, then prosper. Those are the three stages that I I have, understood, not from the book. You have to
Hmm.
recover, presto, and prosper. Prosper means above the graph, above the
Hmm.
horizontal line.
Hmm.
Right, then.
Thank you. Thank you
we have
very
to
much. Then
continue
Okay,
the
thank you, sir.
discussion, but it's good
Thank you,
that
sir.
we can continue the discussion, but we must have opportunities like this. Once you get your
Yeah,
thought,
yes, yes.
will you be taking any more of our lectures?
no, this is the last one.
This last one, unfortunately.
No, we can, I can tell them.
I think there is one on economics.
Economics also I can do, no problem.
Yeah.
You know, this, some lecturers trying to be smart economics, but they are talking about fundamentals of economics. Officers. Now, for example, we have 17 PhDs in the parliament. What is the impact?
Hmm.
Mm.
Didn't get your point. Can you tell it?
No, we have 17 PhDs in the parliament, MPs.
Yeah.
What is the big
Nothing happened.
case?
No,
Yeah.
why we are thinking about that 17? There is another 200 and something without that
No,
one.
no,
So
they
what is
say
the benefit from
we
that?
have doctors,
That's a
professors,
good point.
doctors. No,
That's a good one.
no, that is already stated. That is already stated. But
No, that's
we have this
okay.
motion of people, so say professors, PhD, doctors
But
can do
the
much better.
difference is that the ones in parliament have the power to change the system. Am I right?
Yeah, that's right. Change the system is gradual thing, not a overnight thing. System change has to be also, you need to know system change language. First,
But what the PhDs are doing is that yes sir, 3 bags full sir for their personal
they are
benefit.
criticizing. They can criticize.
Hmm.
They are criticizing, but they don't contribute to resolve problems. They are trying to highlight the problems. You all know
And they are giving arguments to support this wrong proposals of politicians. That is a terrible thing that they are doing.
is bad. But now, I think past 2 years we have passed good laws.
Hmm.
Implementation and enforcement is up to the people.
Hmm.
Now, you have to go and file a case against Hora, but without saying Hora.
Yeah. Exactly. And that is where the Supreme Court has to be completely independent. This
Yeah,
thing
Supreme
now.
Court is independent actually. That's why
Yeah.
even they challenge the presidents, saying president's holding of local government was not
Hmm.
in terms of, but my opinion, I don't want to say that here.
Hmm.
If you hold the local government, you are going to violate human rights, not fundamental rights. Because at that time, people were not having anything to eat or,
Yeah.
queues. People were dying in the queues, bursting.
And it's happening now. That is why the Aragale happened here, because the youth realize that there is no this thing, but they what they are being fed by the government is all lies the whole time. It happened here, then it happened in Bangladesh.
That's why
And
you appoint an inexperienced person. Somebody shouting. Hello.
hello, yeah, go on, please.
Shall we wind up then?
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
We'll thank you very much for participating in interesting discussions. Unfortunately, we have to stop. And I wish you all the luck. for
Thank
the
you.
exams.
Thank you very
I
much,
want you to
engineer.
perform well so that I can give marks. Otherwise, if you don't perform, it's very hard for me to do.
We'll try our
Thank you.
best.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
After your discussions and after your lectures, we are better informed now to face the exam.
Thank you very much.
So thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your taking the time and trouble to lecture to us. Thank you.
Good night.
Right, right.
Good night then. Good night, people. Good night, guys.
Good night, everyone.